Hello everyone, my name is YC. Today, I will present two learning objectives designed to support children cognitive development through indigenous pedagogy. Using the Early Years Learning Framework version 2, specifically outcome 4.2 and 4.3, I inserted one indigenous pedagogy, the 8 ways of Aboriginal learning to support Finn learning in culturally responsive and holistic way. First of all, acknowledgement of country. We respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land on which Swinburne's Australian campus are located in Melbourne East and Outer East, and pay our respect to their elder past, present, and emerging. Now, this is the table that I designed for children which focus on child's development in Part A. The first activity is animal track observation. The objective of this activity is by the end of the activity, children will be able to use the visual evidence to describe the similarities and differences of animal tracks through observing and comparing tracks which aligns to Bloom taxonomy level understanding. And the activities starts with story sharing, introducing tracks from First Nations, story about animals, followed by guided observation and comparison. The purpose of this story is through the use of visual learning maps and narrative sharing, children is able to notice, recognize, and describe patterns. Animal track observation, which focus on knowledge acquisition. This helps with basic cognitive functions like memory and classifications. There are two outcomes aligned with the EYLF. The activity supports EYLF outcome 4.2, which is that children engage in inquiry, observing, comparing, and questioning, and also align with outcomes 4.3, which are supported when children applies this knowledge to new image and recreates tracks in sand, demonstrating the ability to transfer learning across the context. This activity will be repeated every week on Monday, which allows children to gain some knowledge in the beginning of the week. Now, followed by the second activity, which is actually connected to activity 1 as well. The activity 2 is build a safe animal pathway. The second this learning objective is focused on skills development, which by the end of the activity, children will be able to analyze problem-solving techniques by changing their strategy as conditions or rule change, which aligns to Bloom taxonomy level analyzing. So these activities begins by reviewing the animal movement learning map and use loose parts or blocks to construct a walkway. Then educators make a change such as broken path or natural disasters such as earthquake, flooding, and etc. And lastly, the children to modify the layout. So the purpose of this activity is children can use and apply and modify problem-solving techniques when circumstances change in the activity, which emphasize skill development. The deconstruct and reconstruct method promotes adaptable thinking in a relaxed, encouraging setting. So there are two outcomes aligned with the EYLF, where outcome 4.2, where the children are able to do the problem solving, experimentations, and investigation, and also outcome 4.3, where children adapt and transfer learning to new situations. This activity will be repeated every week on Thursday, which allows children to apply problem solving skills. Now, there are two learning experiences are informed by the 8 ways of Aboriginal learning pedagogy. So it strongly aligns with the cognitive development as it supports the inquiry, memory, pattern recognitions, and adaptive thinking through culturally responsive practice. The first experience reflects learning through story sharing, learning maps, symbols, and images. And the second experience reflects learning through learning maps, land links, deconstruct, and reconstruct. So, by inserting indigenous pedagogical approach within both learning experience, children's cognitive development is supported in a holistic, culturally responsive, and strength-based way. In conclusion, these two learning experiences effectively support children's cognitive development by building on his strengths while addressing areas for growth. Through indigenous pedagogy and strong alignments with EYLF outcomes 4.2 and 4.3. The planning supports meaningful, transferable, and culturally responsive learning. The intentional design of knowledge and skill-based activities ensures progression from observation to application. So these are the references that have been used throughout the case study. And thank you so much for listening to my presentation. See you next time.